In English, we have one word, and that is love. But in other languages, there exist many to differentiate between its various dimensions. Love is not one singular emotion, but several. Far from a monolithic feeling, love resembles a spectrum of interconnected experiences and expressions. There are many nuanced facets to this complex emotion, like passionate, infatuated, unconditional, familial, devotional, and many more. And throughout the entire series, each episode of Violet Evergarden explores these diverse manifestations of this human experience. For example, in episode 1 we learn of the purest form of love, intimate love, which are the words said to Violet by Major Gilbert. It's the vulnerable connection that transcends physical affection and embraces the emotional and spiritual closeness between individuals. This love creates a sense of belonging that feels both fragile and infinite, like two souls recognizing in each other a reflection of home. It's love that is not based on feelings alone, but on commitment, humility, and service, a wish for the best in each other's lives. It's the highest virtue. This is also the terminology we equate most to the word. In episode 2, we learn of passional love. We all have dreams and aspire one day to reach them. It can be utterly heartbreaking and dispiriting, as if the whole world is crumbling beneath our feet and our lungs are collapsing under the weight when those cherished dreams of ours fail to come to fruition. Being a YouTuber, I can really relate to this. For Erica Brown, this is the feeling which consumes her. Believing her dream will never come, she contemplates quitting being an auto-memory doll, viewing herself as inadequate for the job because of past failures. But she's able to see herself through Violet's determined eyes, and is reminded of the love she has for it. Love can reignite your passions and remind you of your dreams. It acts as encouragement, helping you to persist when you would otherwise quit. In episode 3, we learn of familial love. Luculia and Spencer have grown distant since the war, a tragedy responsible for their parents' death. Despite the self-blame Spencer puts on himself, Luculia feels nothing but gratitude that he survived and is thankful for having him as her brother. With Violet's help, the two begin to rebuild their bond and find their way back to each other. Love between family is unconditional. Regardless of flaws, mistakes, or circumstances, their struggle will be shared in longevity, together as one. Skipping ahead, in episode 5 we learn of infatuated love. This is the love that sweeps you off your feet, breeding butterflies in your stomach as the ache of wanting blurs the world around you. Princess Charlotte and Prince Damien send letters back and forth with the help of Violet and Catalea to foster a romance between the two and unite countries. Charlotte first encountered Damien during her flee from the cacophony of the grand banquet. He spoke truthfully to her, making her feel heard when she was otherwise ignored. She's treasured that moment of comfort since, the image of him standing amid the moonlight forever etched in her memory. Finally, after the idolization has ached her heart for so long, they are reunited, able to kindle that fleeting encounter into a deeper romance. Obviously, this is very surface-level analysis, but hopefully you're getting the point by now. For the sake of editing, I only wanted to highlight a few episodes rather than do a full-depth explanation. The episodes I really want to talk about are probably the most popular episodes in the series. That is episode 7 and episode 10. They house very profound perspectives on love. I want to dedicate the majority of this video to these two episodes specifically. However, if this video gets good reception, I will definitely make a full analysis on all of the episodes. Episode 7 opens with the ending of a play. Violet is to be the doll to scribe for the playwright Oscar Webster, a bereaved alcoholic suffering over the grief of losing his daughter. Violet asks that he refrains from alcohol while they are working. Oscar stubbornly obliges, after delaying work for a day. He then promotes Violet from scribe to maid, and she is ordered to cook for him, stale noodles with a side of eggshells. As he compliments her attempt, we see his eyes drift to the empty chair across from him. Only the forlorn memory of what used to be occupies the seat now. Later that night, Oscar sneaks into the kitchen to snag some alcohol, only to find that Violet has hid them all. Struggling with the trauma of losing his daughter, Oscar has little to keep himself stable. When she died, his capacity to love was killed as well. Violet's presence disrupts his desolation, offering a fleeting semblance of joy. Sharing the same hair color and age his daughter would have been, Violet becomes an unintentional reflection of Oscar's lost child. Ordering Violet around, having her clean, shop, and cook for him, restores his fractured life. But when Violet declines his offer to join him at the dinner table, the illusion shatters, and the loneliness resurfaces with renewed force. He realizes it was all a facade he concocted in his head. Unable to cope with his dissonance, Oscar reverts to drinking. This is the agony of grief. Our future is envisioned alongside those who have always been part of our lives, as if their presence is an unchanging constant. We imagine a path forward with them by our side, never anticipating the alternative, a life without them. When they are forcibly ripped from our lives without consent, our entire perception of the world is shattered and we dive into the abyss of chaos. Instead of forging a new path, it's easier to turn around and head back. We ruminate on the past, seeking solace in memories which forever trap us in status. Oscar's fantasy of Violet as his daughter serves as a fragile coping mechanism, replacing his previous reliance on alcohol. But a gesture from Violet abruptly pulls him back to reality, exposing the futility of his illusion. Violet has not yet helped him confront or overcome his grief. She has merely dulled its edge. She is not a remedy for his pain, but a temporary distraction. The grief lingers, unaddressed, and when Violet can no longer serve as a surrogate for his deceased daughter, Oscar is left with no choice but to revert to his old reliable remedy, alcohol. The next day, as Violet scribes his play, her enthusiasm and curiosity about the plot ignite a spark within him. Her reaction to the story gives Oscar some happiness as he emits a smile. When his daughter was alive, his life was rich with meaning, but her death had diminished it. Violet reminds him of the impact his stories have on others, similar to what I do with this channel. His stories carry purpose with them, giving fulfillment to those who experience it. Oscar is reminded that his life still holds meaning and carries purpose despite losing the one who gave him so much of it. He's relieved that she feels this way. But Oscar has a problem. The ending of the story is still in question. When Violet remarks that the story should have a happy ending where the daughter returns to her father, it sets Oscar on edge again. Then, to make matters worse, Violet finds his daughter's parasol and brings it to him, forcing Oscar to take a break from writing. Then she makes matters even worse by using the parasol, unknowingly triggering Oscar's anger and causing him to lash out at her. It is in this moment of emotional turmoil that Oscar finally opens up to Violet about his trauma. This is where we begin to see the stages of healing. He's probably never talked to anyone, especially not this deeply, about the death of his daughter before. It's likely he's been shouldering this grief since she passed away. He tells Violet his daughter had a wish to use the parasol to walk across the fallen leaves of their lake. The story is dedicated after her, and that's why he wants to finish it. This venting meditates Oscar, and he's able to continue the writing with a more positive attitude, determined to complete the story. As Oscar is pondering the most suitable ending to the story, in his absent-mindedness, he inadvertently asks Violet to use the parasol to walk across the lake, like the wish of his daughter, to which she naively obliges. As Oscar watches Violet's attempt, memories of his daughter's life flood his mind. In Violet's flight across the lake, he sees his daughter's wish finally coming true. In that fleeting moment, Oscar is able to reconcile with his grief, finding a sense of closure for the first time since her passing, even though Violet only made it 3 steps. That parasol was a ripoff. As Oscar and Violet say their farewells, Oscar gives her the parasol, a token of appreciation for everything she has done to help him. So, aside from my impeccable synopsis, what does this episode say about love? Love can be used to overcome grief. Oscar couldn't accept that his daughter was gone, and his failure to reconcile left him ruminating on the past, drowning his memories in alcohol. When we experience trauma, it's nearly impossible to remedy. Oscar figured his best solution for moving on was forgetting, using alcohol as an ineffectual antidote. But as it numbed his pain, it erased all the love residing in the memories as well. And this love is the only solution that works. To overcome grief or trauma, we must take a part of this person and integrate it into ourselves. We recover by carrying a part of them inside of us. Now, before you go digging up a grave and prepping for surgery, what this means is taking an aspect of their character and utilizing it in your own life. You're letting the impact they've had on you shape who you are.
So if you think about that sense of resilience that you get, it comes from taking that negative event and incorporating it into yourself. And then when you look to the future, it sort of stays with you. What we mean is to take those memories and experiences and let it shape who we are now so that we can move forward in the future.
And this thing that we take with us is love. Their love becomes a part of your identity, shaping your future, not detracting from it. You only have 2 options when it comes to trauma. Either you let those negative events inform the way you look toward the future, or you ruminate, forever in a despondent stasis like we see with Oscar at the outset of the episode. As Viktor Frankl has said, the only ones who survived are the ones who found meaning in their suffering. Through Violet, Oscar recognizes he still has purpose in his life, like finishing the play he wrote in the name of his daughter. He realizes there are still things he can do for her. His biggest regret was that he couldn't do anything more for her. But he doesn't have to live with that regret. He can take actions today that honor her. As Oscar envisions Olivia standing next to him, her wish fulfilled by Violet, he reaches out his hand and takes her love to keep with him forever. This episode demonstrates how love can serve as a motivating force that inspires growth and achievement. Love can be an asset that guides us.
I said to her after granting me this miracle, I didn't believe there was a God, but if there were, it would be you.
Episode 10 begins with a little girl named Anne playing house by herself. Immediately, we understand she feels neglected and lonely by the interaction she pretends to have with her doll.
Playing house is a little boring. I wonder when Mom's visitors are going to leave. They should go home already.
This is when Violet arrives at the house ready to begin her job. The girl eagerly rushes into the house and upstairs to her mother's room to announce the visitor. The mom is bedridden and engaged in conversations about the future of their mansion. This is a lot of information within the first few moments. We learn of the daughter's naivety by her gestures of embarrassment upon intruding without permission, and also that she thinks Violet is a literal doll. Wait, she's not? We also learn of the mother's caring demeanor, but more importantly, that she's suffering some sort of serious illness. I love this kind of storytelling. I appreciate when the writer throws in a lot of information with no context. It's flawless execution of foreshadowing. Just thought I would mention that. It's obvious the mother deeply cares about her daughter, but her illness has likely disrupted much of the bonding they once shared. This separation has created a palpable sense of distance between them, which visibly affects both the mother and daughter. With Violet arriving, it only creates more distance and dismay. The daughter is initially elated about Violet's arrival, as her curiosity is zealously elevated, but that fun will wear off. The mother is now preoccupied with writing a series of letters, and this takes more time away from the already fringe amount the two of them have together. Violet acts as an intermediary between work to provide company for Anne. We get a great montage of exactly how much time the daughter is not spending with her mother. Though Violet is an entertaining doll, a doll is no substitute for a mother, as we saw in the beginning of the episode. Eventually, the daughter grows bored of Violet too, and just wants her mom. Like we saw in episode 7, Violet cannot replace that which someone has lost. Anne confesses to Violet that she had wished to spend their entire time together with her mother instead. Again, just further establishing her innocence. She wants Violet to stop taking time away from her mom, or at the very least, let her be next to her mom while they write the letters. Violet acknowledges Anne's feelings, but knowing the condition of the mother, there is nothing Violet can do. The frustration of the daughter continuously escalates, with Violet doing what she can to help ameliorate it, until she finally breaks down in front of her mother. Oh god, the tears. This moment highlights how the daughter may not be as naive as we think. She's clearly intelligent enough to understand some of the truth. She knows that her mom is probably dying and that she will be left all alone. The letters can't be more important than their finite time together. She wants her mom to stop writing them. Anne runs off in emotional distress. Violet chases after her and the two have a talk. Anne expresses guilt, saying that she made her mother cry. Violet reassures her that it's not her fault, and that she is a good child. Anne blames herself for her mother's condition. She believes it's her fault because she hasn't been a good child. If she'd been better, her mother wouldn't have gotten sick. This way of thinking is natural in kids. They see the world in a very simplified way because mature concepts like sickness and death are too complex to mentally grasp. How they view events like this is similar to superstition. So Anne believes it's karma for being a bad child that has made her mother ill. As Violet embraces Anne, reassuring her that none of it is her fault, Anne questions why the letters need to be written. Violet explains that the letters are meant to convey a person's feelings, to which Anne bluntly replies, "Who cares?" This shows us how Anne views love. Anne perceives love as something bound to immediate physical expression and struggles to grasp the idea that it can take on different forms. To her, the letters seem pointless. Why write them when feelings can simply be expressed face to face? Finally, the day came where the job of an auto-memory doll was complete, and Violet was ready to leave. Anne, still feeling regret about her behavior, embraces Violet one last time and thanks her for her company. She realizes that Violet is not a literal doll and was never there to take time away from her and her mother. This shows maturity in Anne's character. She's growing up and becoming wiser, understanding the world better. The mother and daughter get to spend all their time together now, until the mom passes away. Years later, Anne receives a letter. It's from her mom. These are the letters that her mom spent all that time writing. Every year for 50 years, Anne will receive a letter from her mom on her birthday. At the end of the letters read, "Never forget, your mother loves you very much." This episode teaches us the transcendental nature of love. Due to the condition of her mother, Anne felt neglected at the beginning of the episode. Anne saw love primarily through the lens of affection. While affectionate love is one facet of love, it is far from the whole picture, as demonstrated throughout the other episodes. But because of this, Anne believed their love was diminishing. This led Anne to internalize self-blame. She believed she was responsible for everything, from her mother's illness to the perceived decline in their bond. When Anne breaks down in front of her mom, she pleads with her to stop writing the letters and show her love directly again. She demands to understand why the letters seem to matter more than their connection. Feeling utterly powerless, Anne blames herself for being unable to fix the situation or save her mother. It isn't until Anne grows older and matures that she realizes there was nothing she could have done to change her mother's fate. When she receives the first letter, she finally understands that their love was never broken. Her mother had always seen her as the most important person in her life and loved her deeply. That love was so profound that her mother carefully planned for it to remain present long after her passing. Through the letters, her mother ensured that her love and presence would stay by Anne's side forever. Love is not confined to physical presence or immediate expressions. Love can bridge temporal and spatial divides. It goes beyond just affection. Thank you for making it this far into the video. If you're wondering why I haven't covered the most essential form of love, the love between Violet and Gilbert, that's because I will be dedicating an entire video in the future just to that. Please consider subscribing so you don't miss it. My channel analyzes the meaning of narratives and the purpose of stories. I believe that great stories have the capacity to lead us towards a more virtuous and harmonious life. I hope that my explanations of your favorite stories can help you get more value out of your life. If you're enjoying this video, please consider subscribing and commenting because these types of videos don't fare well against the algorithm, and I could really use your help. Also, check out my other videos if you haven't already. But regardless, thank you for watching this one.